What's going on, guys? So today I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts on what happened in Game 4. I know this is a late reaction because the game happened yesterday and I'm basically uploading my reaction 24 hours later, but you know, my thing is better late than never. We're not even going to get Game 5 until Saturday, so I figured that hey, the gap is enough that I can still post about this and have it still be relevant. So, I'll give my thoughts on Game 4 because it was a very interesting game. It was a good game. It was very exciting, and there were a lot of things to talk about. So I figured that I'd do that in this video. Before I get started, though, I want to let you guys know to please subscribe to the channel and also turn on your notifications so that you don't miss an upload. And if you do enjoy this video, to please leave a like. That makes a big difference in helping the channel grow, so I'd greatly appreciate it. Alright, with that being said, now let me just talk about this game. There's a lot to talk about. The Bucks take care of business at home. Now the series is tied at 2 games apiece, which is, man, I love that. I'm so happy the Bucks tied this series because honestly, after the Suns did what they did at home, I was like, okay, the Suns are up 2-0. They're going to have an advantage, but, with the Bucks going back to Milwaukee, it could be interesting. And I was hoping the Bucks would make it interesting because I really wanted this series to go as many games as possible, right? Like, if this went 7 games, I would be so happy, But hey, we're going to get 6 games of this, so that's going to be super interesting. This was a very good game. The entire game actually was very interesting. It was really back and forth. It was pretty close the whole game. The Suns actually pulled it away a little bit. They had I think it was a 7 or 8 point lead. And it looked like that was going to be it because Devin Booker he was on another level in this game. Let's just talk about that first because he had 42 points after the terrible game that he had in game 3. Barely playing in that final few minutes of the game, and yeah, it was he played bad in that game. Let's just be honest. And it was a game that was rare because he had just been so good these entire playoffs. So for that to happen, it was rare, and everyone had a feeling that hey, he's not gonna have that bad of a game again, right? But he came out and had 42. This is what superstars do. What Devin Booker did. That's what superstars do. They have a bad game. And the saying goes that superstars don't have 2 bad games in a row. And we clearly saw that with Booker because he went from having an atrocious game 3 to having an incredible game 4, right? He was unstoppable from everywhere. It looked like everything he took would go in, hitting tough follow-away shots, pulling up from mid-range. You couldn't stop him, taking in the contact. He just did everything. It was just so good. And he was basically carrying the Suns because Chris Paul was definitely bad. He had 10 points on horrible shooting. 7 assists was, fine. But Chris Paul had a bad game. And a lot of it was just he couldn't get going. So, luckily they have Devin Booker who was able to, carry a lot of the load. But still, for Chris Paul to be the guy who everyone says is the leader and all that stuff, right? This was just a bad game. And I know a lot of people are going to overblow it a little bit because it's Chris Paul. And he gets a little bit too much credit on TV in the mainstream stuff. I've already kind of established and accepted that, if the Suns win the championship, he's going to get the finals MVP regardless of what happens because, it's just going to be how it is with the media. But still, this is not a game you're supposed to have, especially when you turned it over the way you did at the end of the game. You had an opportunity to make this game interesting, to tie it or take the lead, and then you just trip over your own feet and turn the ball over. He had a lot of turnovers in this game, which is very rare for him. So this game that we saw from Chris Paul, I don't expect to see this again in game 5. Same thing with what happened with Booker. I don't expect a bad game to happen twice in a row. So Chris Paul's going to be fine, especially now that they're going to be in Phoenix for game 5. But, it was still interesting. Jay Crowder, did his thing, hitting threes, which was, I guess, what he's supposed to be doing now. He did some terrible acting though. He legit took a light hit to the shoulder and he ran across the court. He kind of flopped a bunch of times. He was acting. Booker, speaking of Booker, I forgot to mention this, man. The refs were on another level in this game. Suns fans are complaining a lot about the fouls and just the refs in general. They've basically been complaining about it the whole series, but honestly, they've been bad, but they've been more favorable towards the Suns. When Devin Booker has 5 fouls, and then he blatantly, almost flagrantly fouls Jrue Holiday on a layup, and they do not call it, that was, my jaw dropped to the floor when that happened. I just could not believe how blatantly like stupid that was to miss that call. I could not believe it. And obviously, look, in a weird way, I'm kind of glad they didn't call it because who wants to not watch who wants to watch Devin Booker on the bench in the final minutes of a close game in the finals, right? Of course, you'd rather watch your superstar play in the finals in the final minutes of the game, right? Especially when it was close. So, in a weird way, I'm not like mad that it didn't get called because I'm like, hey, I mean, at least he got to play. But then also, it was so obvious, and he should have been fouled out of the game, you know. And if the Bucks had lost that game, oh man, I can't even imagine how mad they'd be. But you know, it was what it was. It was such a terrible mistake, and I still can't believe that happened. You know, just it was crazy. What else is there? I've talked about the Suns basically already. Let me talk more about the Bucks. Giannis had, I mean, he did his thing. 26 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists. Like, the crazy thing about Giannis is like that's not even like his best game. Like 26, 14, and 8 is a crazy stat line, but it's like not even near his best because he's at back-to-back 40 games, right? So for Giannis to do this on the regular, just put up these kinds of numbers is ridiculous to me. But for the Bucks, he wasn't even the big story. Giannis wasn't even the big story. Chris Middleton did his thing. He had 40 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He was having a game where you expect it. You know what I mean? Like, everyone talks about Giannis's, like, how he's the guy and, like, he has no help, right? And to be fair, it was kind of true in Game 2 specifically. But Chris Middleton is just such a confusing player because everyone knows, like, when he's on, he is really good. You know what I mean? Especially, like, you know, kind of like last game. But he's just, like, you don't know what you're going to get from him because either he's going to stink it up and just shoot terribly, or he's going to have a 40-point game, you know? And, hey, good for them to have to do this because it was very important that they won this game. So, I mean, regardless of how it was, Chris Middleton got it done. He was terrific last game, and if he can do that consistently, then I actually like the Bucks to win the series. But, you know, that's a conversation for another day. Jrue Holiday had 13 points. Okay, Jrue Holiday, man, look, he's like, the thing with him was, like, he hasn't been as great of an option as I thought. And actually, that's not true because he has had some really good moments in these finals. But yesterday specifically, like, was it just me? Like, he could not make a layup. Like, I really thought that I was the only one who noticed it because it just seemed like it kept happening. Like, there was a lid on the rim every time he tried to do a layup. Like, wide open ones, too. But no, everyone else was noticing it, too, on Twitter. So I'm not the only one. But I'm like, what the hell is going on with Jrue Holiday? Like, it's just so weird. You know, I hope he can bounce back from that because he's going to be super important for them. What else happened? Bobby Portis played. Pat Connaughton hit a big three. He had the big bang at the end of the game, which basically ended the game for the Bucks. PJ Tucker had 0 points and 5 fouls, which is kind of sad. You know, especially when PJ Tucker's supposed to be your defensive ace, which he really wasn't, and also your best corner three-point shooter, and he had 0 points in almost 30 minutes of playing time. That cannot happen again. That just can't. If you're the Bucks, you can't. Like, if you're PJ Tucker, you're angry at that performance. That can't happen again. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, yeah, with the Giannis thing. Man, Kendrick Perkins is so stupid, man. These ESPN guys are so trash. They're talking about, oh, Giannis is the Batman, or he's the Robin, and Middleton's the Batman, whatever. It was just a bunch of bullcrap. But, I mean, hey, to Kendrick Perkins' credit, the Batman showed up yesterday. So, you know, take what you can get for that. But, so, regardless, I talked about the Suns, I talked about the Bucks, but this series is tied now. And we're going to be in Phoenix for Game 5 on Saturday. We'll see what happens there. But I think whoever wins that game is going to win the series. I don't think that's a crazy take, right? Because whoever wins is going to have a 3-2 lead. They're going to have the advantage, right? But what happens in this game, it's going to be super interesting because a lot of it just depends on who is on fire that game. Because the home team wins every game so far in this series, right? The home team has won the game. So if you're going to go by that measure, then yeah, the Suns might win the game, which I wouldn't rule out with how great they are at home in general. Not even just in these finals, but the whole playoffs. But, you know, is Chris Paul going to have a bad game like that again? I doubt it. Is Devin Booker going to go ballistic for 40 again? I doubt it, but he'll still do his thing. Is Giannis going to, you know, do his thing on the road? You know, because he's been great these entire series, but is he gonna, you know, continue that? You would hope so. Is Middleton gonna have another game like this? Or even he doesn't even need to have a game like this, to be honest. But can he provide at a high level? That's gonna be the question. Is Drew Holiday gonna play well? Is PJ Tucker gonna score? Is Brook Lopez gonna be a better defensive presence? Is DeAndre Ayton gonna score more? Is Chris Paul gonna do more? Is you know that these are all the questions, right? Is Cameron Payne gonna make better decisions on the court when he's on? These are all gonna be the questions that we're gonna see in the rest of the series. But regardless of what happens, we have an interesting series now, right? It's tied. So, I'm really excited for Saturday just because, we had a really good game, and it just makes me more excited for what this series can end up being, regardless of who wins the whole thing. I just want this to go 7 games just to add more to the chaos. So, that's basically it. This has been a good finals, to be honest. The scores haven't always been close, and it sometimes feels like a blowout, but I've enjoyed these finals. Screw the matchup, screw the market stuff. I don't give a shit about all that. These are two good teams that are playing their hearts out, and it's good basketball. So that's what you can take from it. That's all you can ask for with these finals. But yeah, that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you think about game 4 and what to expect for the rest of these finals. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and also turn on your notifications so that you don't miss an upload. And yeah, thank you guys as always for your continued support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.